Stardew Valley Expanded. This is a mod that adds loads of new content into the game, and I wanted to try it out for myself. Here is what happened. Before we jump in, I want to thank you for all the support you gave me on my 100% perfection video. It means a lot to me. If you left a comment on that video, your name may be included in some fashion in this video. Last thing, I am contractually obligated to ask that you like the video if you enjoy it, and subscribe if you feel so inclined. Alright, Mayor Lewis, give me those parsnip seeds. Whoa, a nectarine sapling. That's right, Frontier Farm is already throwing me a curveball before I can even step foot out of my house. Along with Stardew Valley Expanded, Frontier Farm is the recommended farm type to accompany it. The only other mod I am using is the UI Info Suite mod, which shows daily luck, the radius of scarecrows and sprinklers, when the traveling cart is in town, and much more. To the right of my farmhouse, I had a pear ripe for the taking. Another expanded fruit, you'll love to see it. Out of habit, I cleared a space for 15 parsnip seeds, and quickly realized my silly, goofy mistake. I cleared a path to the north entrance of my farm, and in the backwoods I had to do a double take as I found some sneaky little worms, and got myself an artifact. I did some foraging on my way to Pelican Town, and noticed a new residence east of Pierre's store. Inside, I met two new romanceables, Victor and Olivia, who made me feel very welcome as a newcomer. While strolling around town, there was a new road which I followed to a massive bridge. I'm sure there will be new fish for me to discover here, and I can't wait. I stopped by to visit Gunther to donate my artifact, and noticed that the museum had some renovations done. There were some cute study desks, and glass covering his barren collection. At Pierre's shop, there was a new expanded crop, the cucumber. That's great and all, but you can never go wrong with spamming parsnips on the first day, so I bought 60. I sold the tree sapling for a whopping 1,500 gold. Frontier Farm is already breaking the economy. I continued my exploration and came across Blue Moon Vineyard. I met the owner, Sophia, who quite literally shrieked when I simply said hello. Further west is one of my farming competitors, Andy, a Joja shill who runs Fairhaven Farm. Cindersap Forest got extended to a massive degree. I took a look around and quickly got overwhelmed. We'll save that for another day. Once my parsnips were in the ground and watered, I turned in for the night. I woke up in the morning to a letter in the mail from the local fisherman Willie, who just got back from a fishing trip. So after watering my parsnips, I took his old fishing rod off his hands and did some good old-fashioned angling. Right before Willie's shop was about to close, I sold some of my fish to him and had just enough gold to purchase the fiberglass rod and some bait, thanks to the money I saved yesterday from the tree sapling. I passed out on the docks and almost reached level 4 fishing. Mother Nature blessed me on day 3, so no crop watering had to be done. Since it was raining, I opted to fish in the Pelican Town River and attempt to reel in some catfish. They are the most profitable, non-legendary spring fish, so I figured it was worth giving it a shot. I wasn't getting a ton of them on the line, but by nightfall I had enough to make good ol' Willie proud. I dreamed of level 5 fishing and picked the Fisher perk. Day 4's fishing location was the mountain lake. I know, there's a lot of fishing going on, but there's not much else to do really. I found my first of many new expanded fish, the minnow and tadpole. The Jewels of the Sea power book was waiting for me in a treasure chest, but I'm a little money hungry right now, so I resisted the urge to read it right away. I awoke to Marnie at my doorstep the following morning with a stray orange kitty cat, who I named Potato Editor. I had a beautiful field of parsnips ready for the plucking, and shipped most of them off, as well as a good majority of the fish from the past 2 days. I walked as fast as I could up to the mines, and met an adventurer named Marlin, who is now someone I can be friends with thanks to Expanded. He gave me a rusty sword, but I quickly replaced it with a wood club on floor 5. The main goals for today include gathering all the copper I see, as well as collecting high-value items to ship. It was a bad luck day, but that didn't prevent a Dougie from dropping a diamond, which was definitely welcome. I made it to floor 25 with a pink hat on my noggin, and then headed home to sell my goodies and get some much-needed rest. The man of the hour stopped by my house on day 6 to give me the blueprint for crafting furnaces. Let me know if you plan on romancing Clint in the 1.7 update. I spent the morning smelting copper bars and clearing space for a massive field of potatoes. On my way to Pierre's, I met a new NPC named Claire who works at JojaMart. All of the new NPCs are absolute baddies, if I do say so myself. I put my pickaxe in for a copper upgrade at Clint's, and I decided to check out Joja to see if anything had changed. I met Martin, who works part-time at Joja, and he said they had a meeting about me. Should I be worried that Morris is talking shit? Speaking of Morris, he now has a little office, so good for him, I guess. I bought one of each seed, as I don't know what the community center bundles are going to ask for, as well as blowing the rest of my money on potato seeds. But before I could work on getting them planted, Willie visited the farm to tell me to cast my line over at Shearwater Bridge. Thanks for the intel, Willie. It took me all the way until 2 a.m. to get everything watered, which means it's on to day 7. It was raining, so that means I didn't have to water all my crops, which I was honestly dreading. With my pickaxe out of commission, I set off for the mountain lake to do some fishing. I'll check out Shearwater Bridge soon, don't worry. I reeled in a new face, the frog. I mean, look how cute he is. Over the next few days, I put in work. The potatoes I planted will hopefully bring me up to farming level 6, which unlocks quality sprinklers. The fish from yesterday fueled my potato watering and trips to the mines. The goal is to reach level 80 as soon as possible to start farming gold ore. I will already have quartz and iron by then, which is everything I need for the sprinklers. This is a fairly common min-max strat to bypass regular sprinklers and get some grinding out of the way early on. And I'm a sucker for quality sprinklers, what can I say? On the 11th, I had reached floor 80, and on the 12th, my beautiful field of potatoes were ready for harvest. With tomorrow being the egg festival, I wanted a little extra money, so I spent the day back up at the mountain lake doing even more fishing. Demetrius stopped by the next morning to set up my cave for his science experiment, and I picked the fruit bats, of course. But I'm curious what you all pick, as it's highly debated on which one is better. I bought a solid 360 strawberry seeds at the festival, and participated in the egg hunt for funsies. Am I tripping, or are the eggs in different spots? I locked in because I wouldn't let my ego get bruised in a game made for children, and still emerged victorious. After taking some time off with the people of Pelican Town, it was back to the grind. Days 14 through 16 were entirely spent gathering resources in the mines and setting up my pretty massive crop field. I did make sure to find the time to do some psychedelics with the wizard because I have my priorities straight. I started off day 17 by completing the spring foraging bundle, and then I headed to the Cindersap forest where I ran into Willie once again. He plopped a giant wet fish on the ground and bragged about how rich it'll make him. The prospect of more gold and more expanded content piqued my interest, so I went exploring in the massively vast forest and discovered the river Willie mentioned. On my first cast, I reeled in the king salmon. I know, I'm insane at this game. Day 18's agenda was quite simple: make more progress further down the mines, and I got to floor 97 before having to call it quits. The next day started off strong because I completed the spring crops and boiler room bundles, which means I'll get the minecarts unlocked. There are minecarts on my actual farm, so hopefully I'll be able to travel freely from the comfort of my own home. Trees take 10 years to chop down, so I put my axe in for a copper upgrade. I heard through the grapevine that it's important to start befriending Marlin Marlin and the wizard ASAP. On my way to visit the wizard, he told me to stay away from the Shrine of Illusions and Warp Hall. Warp Hall? I'm intrigued. Since it was raining, I finished off day 19 by catching an eel and catfish for the fish tank bundles. Speaking of Marlin, he paid me a visit on day 20, telling me that Gil has something he needs to talk to me about. So I went to the Adventurers Guild, which is a little farther north, thanks to Expanded, and when I entered, I got hit with 2 cutscenes. The first one was simply just inducting me into the guild. The second was my meeting with Gil, who told me that he could fix up the minecarts on my farm for the low cost of 24 iron and copper bars. To do this quest or to not? That is the question. I don't want my non-existent keg empire to take that big of a hit, but we'll have to wait and see. Marlin has a boat parked next to the Adventurers Guild, but I was unfortunately denied access. Curious. I then hit the mines, obtained my first star drop, and swapped out my axe for an iron upgrade on day 21. My desire to romance Olivia overpowered my resistance to looking things up on the wiki, and I found out she likes gold bars, so she's being added into the gifting rotation. I'm not looking up heavy spoiler things, just liked and loved gifts for the new NPCs, and the occasional community center item. I finally took Willie's advice and hung out at Shearwater Bridge. I fished up a butterfish and failed a mysterious, more difficult fish. I know, I'm washed. I obtained the skull key, unlocked the secret woods, and gave Andy a butterfish for his birthday. In return, he gave me some strawberry seeds, which were pretty useless, as spring is almost over, but it's the thought that counts, I guess. It wouldn't be a 100 days video without a tree farm, so I got started on one that consisted mostly of oak trees, as well as the new expanded trees. My first strawberry harvest was ready the day of the flower dance, and I got hit with the worst rejection of my life. I don't know how I'll recover from this. The weather reflected my mood the next day because rain was coming down hard, so I bought an iridium rod from Willie and attached a trap bobber. You can probably guess what I was set out to do. I was feeling confident, so I built a fish pond in preparation of my incoming success. I popped a trout soup to get me to fishing level 10 and went for the legend. It put up a good fight, but I honestly find the glacier fish to be much more challenging. My confidence carried over to Shearwater Bridge, where I redeemed myself and reeled in a puppy fish. I mean, sure. Why not? To end the day, I brought some of the fish to the community center and donated them to their respective bundles. I decided to investigate Cindersap Forest a little more thoroughly and found a cluster of swords. I'm sure there's lore behind them or something. I was just happy to get a free artifact. The tree farm got expanded a bit more. I worked on iron for the minecarts and overheard some drama unfolding at the town square.
No, you listen to me. What in tarnation is that supposed to mean?
It's out of my hands. The Ferngill government adjusts.
I'm not hearing any of this. This will ruin me, you hear? I thought this valley supported local farmers.
Basically. Andy is upset about the new regulations, and for some reason, it's my job to check on him. Whatever. I woke up on the last day of spring to a lovely field of strawberries. After harvesting them, I donated some artifacts to the museum that I had been hoarding. On my way to deforest some trees, I bumped into Rasmodius, who you can now romance, by the way. He was enforcing a barrier that prevents monsters from reaching Pelican Town. He lore dropped someone named Camilla who protects a place called Castle Village. I don't know where that is, but I want to go there now. With summer almost here, I decided to spruce up the farm and add some wooden flooring to welcome in the new season. I sprayed on some sunscreen to get a nice glow going on for the first day of summer. I'm gonna be outside all day preparing my crop field, so might as well look good while doing so. Before I could plant any crops, I got lectured by Demetrius about the history of Pelican Town and how it got its name. Although Expanded isn't official canon, it's still fun to hear other people's interpretation of the lore. The main moneymaker this season will be good old-fashioned blueberries. Of course, course saving room for community center items and quality crops. The blistering heat didn't last long, as there was a thunderstorm the next day. Of course, lightning rods were crafted, and then I continued working on collecting ore for the farmland minecarts. Overnight, the boulder to the railroad was cleared, which meant a new NPC named Susan visited the farm to introduce herself. After putting the bars in the minecart chest, I gave my pickaxe over to Clint to upgrade it to steel, and went to the train station to check out Susan's farm. Before I could do that, Clint informed me of a boulder that he needs my assistance with. Iridium is hard to come by right now, but the prospect of going to what I presume to be the summit before perfection is interesting, to say the least. I checked out Emerald Farm, but I don't think Susan will be much competition. I mean, that keg layout speaks for itself. While clearing out the farm, I stumbled upon a broken bridge, which I found interesting, but then forgot about it 5 seconds later. For me, summer is when I'm in my animal era. Over the weeks, my coop and barn got upgraded to deluxe, and I had a silo commissioned. The farm buildings got filled with just enough animals needed for the community center. I might get more later, who knows. Shout out Bethany Fern, Unit 00, Saito, Super Pooper, Bella, Jerry, and Sakura Magic. Summer was full of even more discoveries. In the secret woods, I dug up something called a shrub seed, as well as some new forage, the baneberry. Once my iron pickaxe was upgraded, I could finally clear out the big rocks on my farm. One rock by the north entrance of my farm was hiding a little cute cave that had some ores and geodes. I also finally found my fruit bat cave next to my greenhouse. After completing Gil's hefty request, I regret to inform you that the minecarts only work to transport me around my farm. How nice would it have been to not have to walk to the bus stop? Once my pickaxe was upgraded even further, I got access to a rundown looking building. I didn't know what to do with it at first, but Robin quickly came to the rescue and had an even more daunting request than Gil's. I mean, 20 battery packs, Robin? Do you think they grow on trees? Thanks to my blueberries, I gained access to the Calico Desert around halfway through summer and met Sandy, who has a new portrait. Meeting her had me so excited to see what romancing her will be like in the new update. The desert got the Cindersap Forest treatment and is now insanely large. I took a good look around and it's mostly just empty space. My first Skull Cavern run, I didn't have any spicy eels or triple shot espressos, but I made it down to floor 76 with 76 iridium ore. I love when numbers do the number thing. Since I finally had access to iridium, Clint got everything he needed for his sketchy explosive. It felt very strange being at the summit without reaching perfection, especially so with the ugly bars on the side of my screen. But there was some new forage, which was cool. I wanted to make sure I stayed in Marlin's good graces, so while I was collecting materials for kegs and tappers, I completed the Goober and Dust Sprite Monster Slayer goals. My blossoming relationship with Olivia is going great so far. Thank you so much for asking. She talked shit about Andy and also sent me a recipe in the mail. She wants me bad. As much as I love walking around at a snail's pace, I made the not-so-tough decision to purchase a stable, and I named my new horse Tiger Rawr. I, of course, stayed on top of the community center. Summer forage, summer crops, summer fish, and even a red cabbage from the traveling cart all got donated. Eventually, I had gathered everything Robin needed to repair the shack on my farm. All I will say is that the blood, sweat, and tears better be worth it. I definitely didn't buy 600 stone from Robin. Not me. No way. What better way to end the season than a dive in the Skull Cavern and enjoying the greatest song this game has to offer. After experiencing that ethereal event, autumn had arrived, and I started off the new season with Grandpa's shed fully refurbished. On my way to purchase fall seeds, I got the opportunity to pet Dusty. I love little scenes like this that expanded adds to flesh out parts of the game that are often overlooked. Pumpkins are my go-to choice for money making in the fall season, but I made sure to get some sweet potatoes as well for the community center. The second of fall is when the special order board is set up, and I did a couple throughout the season, including a crop order for pumpkins, Linus's community cleanup, and Emily's rock rejuvenation. Grandpa's shed not only comes with a place to store kegs, but also an upstairs mini greenhouse. It was a strange feeling to have a quote-unquote greenhouse before completing the pantry bundle, but you don't see me complaining. I waited until it was a Thursday so I could purchase deluxe speed grow from Sandy to start planting starfruit. My mass production of kegs took up a lot, and I mean a lot of time. I went to the mines countless times for copper and iron. I also made a sizable dent in the new cindersap forest, which I didn't think was possible. A new season means new forage in the secret woods, which included a poison mushroom and mushroom colony. Every season so far has added just enough content to keep the game fresh, for me at least. The farmland didn't get neglected too much. I am, of course, checking up on my animals every day, and even made a little area for their processing machines. My relationship with the wizard is growing steadily. We bonded over doing more drugs together, and he taught me how to change my appearance. I won't be using it, but thanks anyways, Magnus. Now is about time I upgrade my tiny cabin so I can have Olivia move in with me soon. So I can cook things for the community center. One new addition to the chef's bundle is candy, which is an expensive recipe but still manageable. Once my pumpkins were ready for harvest, I decided against selling all of them in favor of saving them to put in preserve jars later on. At the Stardew Valley Fair, I blew Andy, Sophia, and Susan out of the water, as well as the rest of the vanilla chumps. I got a star drop and my first rare crow of the playthrough. While building my keg empire, I maxed out the foraging skill, leaving only combat left. The other 3 skills were fairly easy to max out. The Skull Cavern is a solid place to grind out combat XP, and while doing so, I made sure to reach level 100 at least one time, simply for the love of the game. The 21st of fall is when I finally reached level 10 combat and unlocked Mastery. It's no 16-day mastery like the Habu, but still a close second. Thanks to all my Skull Cavern runs, I had amassed a large quantity of Omni geodes. After donating all their contents, Gunther visited the farm, and instead of bestowing me the rusty key, I instead received a sizable check in the mail. Access to the sewers actually came from the relationship I have been building with Marlin. He introduced me to Krobus, and it was then that I received the rusty key. At this point, the rundown community center is so close to being restored. The fish tank and pantry bundles got completed, leaving just the winter seasonal forage left. On one of my gifting runs, I got a heartbreaking cutscene with Olivia. I learned that her family and friends are trapped due to the war that's going on, and that affects her heavily. So we shared some wine from the Fern Islands, and she told me that the traveling merchant, Suki, shares insider information with her about the war. Listen, I didn't know the situation was that serious, but I absolutely loved this scene, no matter how sad it was. The maze at the Spirits Eve festival had a new layout, and I honestly had a lot of fun finding the golden pumpkin. Sometimes it's the simple things that bring the most joy. The fall season concluded with an absolute bang because I found out I could wear the copper pan as a hat. Jack Frost graced me with his presence the following day and blanketed the entire valley in snow. Usually, winter is honestly pretty snooze-fest, but Expanded spiced things up. After foraging a crocus and nautilus shell, I was able to complete the community center. Did you know that you can pop the balloons? Shortly after that, Willie and Robin fixed up the boat to Ginger Island, and I went on an absolute rampage, collecting golden walnuts. On my first volcano volcano run, I found an ostrich egg and was surprised to see someone waiting for me at the caldera. This is Lance. He explained to me how the forge works and disappeared just as eerily as he had appeared. He then proceeded to visit my farm the next day in order to give me his schedule. This piece of paper tells me where Lance is every day of the week, and it has some places on it that I haven't heard of, and I can't wait to find out. The excitement is far from over, because on my way to gift Marlin his millionth quartz, I met Alicia from Castle Village. Her and Marlin go way back, and she was just there to clear out some slimes in the mines. So our introduction was cut short, but I'm loving all the new winter additions. The following morning, Magnus visited the farm and told me to meet him at his tower so we could drink some drug-infused beverages. Why this always happens when we get together is beyond me. I guess I'm like his student or something. Regardless, this allowed me to summon warp runes. Rasmodius showed me a place called the Enchanted Grove, also known as my Nexus. Initially, we set up a warp rune to the wizard's tower, and then a few days later, I phased through a tree and set up a rune from my farm to the Nexus. Magnus better watch out. My powers might supersede his pretty soon. There was a mystical new forageable called the Dewdrop Berry that I found in the Nexus, which had some pretty awesome buffs. I also ran into Krobus and a Junimo in a new magical forest that I'll come back and explore later as I have things to do before the 100 days are up. With the actual greenhouse up and running, which is much larger than the original, I planted some expanded seeds inside and harvested salal berries and ancient fiber. I'm putting some starfruit in the greenhouse, but I'm also saving space for coffee beans and new crops. I wanted some more golden walnuts, so I did another volcano run and got a new mastery level while doing so. I decided to see if Ginger Island had any new fish and reeled in a seahorse and bared knife jaw. In a treasure chest, I finally got my first ancient seed of the playthrough, which I was super happy about. The night market has come to town, and although I didn't come close at all to catching every fish in this video, I still took the submarine down and caught the exclusive fish that reside in the depths of the sea. I woke up on day 100 with one goal in mind: to take a vacation to the island and reflect on the past year. Expanded so far has sprinkled in content here and there, but there seems to be a lot more for me to discover. Highlands, Galdoran Outpost, a magical forest, Castle Village. I love everything they've added so far to the game, but it seems I've only scratched the surface of what's in store for me. Let me know if you'd like to see a 200 days of expanded video, and thank you so much for watching.